We roam the still, cold world. No horizon in sight. The rulers of old, stripped of pride and glory. It feels as yesterday we were turning the wheels of progress until the frost stopped it all. Suddenly, without a warning. When tides had changed, they changed for all of us, no matter wealth or class. We've lost our world to snow, and with it, our last traces of humanity. We bid farewell to plenty, and for those who remained came the time to adapt. We decided to leave our homes and head north. We roamed for weeks, maybe months, leaving behind all the things we once believed had made us. It was hope that pushed us forward. Slowly, step by step. We knew the cost of our journey, and we paid the price 100 times. Finally, the time has come to build the last city on Earth.
Hello Wanderers and welcome to Frostpunk. Frostpunk is a city-building survival game developed and published by 11-Bit Studios in April of 2018 for Xbox One, PlayStation, and PC. The game is set in an alternate universe in the year 1886, where the eruptions of Mount Tambora and Krakatoa, the dimming of the sun, as well as other factors caused a worldwide volcanic winter, leading to widespread crop failure and the death of millions. This event roughly outlines the historical 1883 eruption of Krakatoa, a volcanic event that led to global cooling. In response, several installations called generators were built by the British authorities in the coal-rich north, designed to be city centers in the event that dropping temperatures forced mass migrations to the south. In all scenarios, the player, known by denizens of the city as the Captain, is the leader of a city around a generator and will have to manage resources to ensure the city's survival. Three scenarios, each with different backgrounds and storylines, can be matched. Three scenarios can be launched in-game, each with different backgrounds and storylines. There are also 2 additional DLC scenarios as well as Endless Mode. The player will start out with a small group of survivors that consists of workers, engineers, and children, as well as several small caches of supplies from which to build a city. From here you can harvest wood, coal, steel, and food in order to keep your society warm and healthy. Weather conditions and political turmoil can cause citizens to not want to cooperate. You have the option to use laws to regulate the productivity of your society at the cost of possibly raising discontent. For example, allowing child labor or forcing temporary 24-hour shifts. But also laws to develop better healthcare like prosthetics or extra rations for the sick. In most scenarios, the player also has the option to increase the citizens' support either by order, which includes buildings and laws to enforce security, or by faith, which includes buildings and laws that implement a religion. Building a workshop structure allows the player to research technology and buildings that will make the city more efficient and to scout the surrounding frozen wasteland for survivors and resources. What I really appreciate about this game is how complex it is and how fun it is for a game that is actually so simple. The one thing I would really change is that I would love to be able to control the citizens a little more and zoom in more on their likes and dislikes and their state. But other than that, I really think it's a great resource management and survival game. There should be more like it. This studio is actually very creative and I think their work is simply beautiful. It's got a real vintage aesthetic that you don't see a lot of video games being able to nail quite as well. It's kind of like that BioShock, New Vegas aesthetic, which I really appreciate. In the main scenario, A New Home, the player is a leader of a group of explorers who fled the cold and the hunger of London in an expedition to find supposed massive coal reserves in the north. Instead, the group gets separated from the main expeditionary party and discovers a massive heat generator in a giant sheltered crater and settles there, establishing the city of New London. The player begins to face the issue of the people's dwindling hope as they find out through exploration a city similar to theirs called Winterhome has been destroyed, leaving few survivors. The player has to make hard decisions in order to help the people find their purpose and stay hopeful. The player later also has to prepare enough supplies to make sure the city survives in an impending storm. In the second scenario, The Arcs, the player is tasked as the leader of a group of scholars from Oxford and Cambridge responsible for establishing a self-operational city for the purpose of preserving seeds and plants from around the world and the volcanic winter. They settle around a generator located in the ice crevice. During the gameplay, the player will be presented with the issue of a neighboring city struggling with resources and will have to make the choice whether or not to help them to prepare for the incoming storm. In the third scenario, the refugees, the player is set as the leader of a refugee group who have taken over a generator reserved originally for a large group of wealthy lords. The people had intended the city to be a place where everyone is equal, but in time the people will begin to divide into two separate social classes. The player will also have to deal with constant waves of refugees seeking shelter in the city, including the overthrown lords. The player will have to decide to accept them or reject them, while also minding the limited resources they have access to. In the Fall of Winterhome DLC, this scenario revolves around the story of a Winterhome, a city established well before the events of the main scenario. Through ineffective management by a neglectful leader, resources ran dry and the city fell into anarchy and rioting. Hundreds die in the fighting, starvation, and cold. The player is tasked to rebuild what is left of the city and its residents. But after getting things under control, the player learns that the city's generator is damaged beyond repair and has only a few days to put into practice an evacuation plan. Endless Mode is a highly customizable scenario where players endeavor to build a city to survive for as long as possible. Unlike all other scenarios, there is no major story or quest objective beyond surviving each winter storm as they come, and the scenario only ends when the player loses. The Last Autumn DLC is a prequel scenario released in 2020, set just before the onset of the global winter. The British Empire has created the Imperial Exploration Company to scout across the Atlantic Ocean to Canada for sites to construct generators. The player is the overseer of one such location, Site 113, for the intended evacuation of Liverpool. While constructing their own generator, the player will also be called to investigate the loss of contact with Sites 107 and 120, destroyed by shoddy workmanship in a syndicalist revolt respectively, leaving the player's construction site as Liverpool's last hope. If the player takes too long in construction, they risk being fired by the IEC and sent home, ending the game. As the scenario progresses, the first snow begins to arrive and the sea freezes, cutting the site off from the supply ships, and the player must continue to work on the generator and wait out the freezing weather until an icebreaker can arrive to take them home to England. This last scenario includes new technology, trees and resources, new buildings, including a telegraph station, labor unions, and docks, new books of law to determine societal changes moving forward, and new threats to the settlement, including toxic gas leaks and worker strikes. The DLC also includes The Builders, a new submode for Endless Mode, which includes rebuilding a destroyed generator in winter conditions. Thank you for joining me for this look at Frostpunk. I really enjoyed playing this little game, and I feel that even after it goes off Xbox One Ultimate Gamepass, I would still buy it and keep it for myself in my game library. It's relaxing, and it's really beautiful and well crafted. I really respect games that are created with this amount of detail, and I think this studio has some other interesting titles that I'd like to check out as well. Thank you so much for joining me for this look at Frostpunk. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. Leave a like and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. Hit that notification bell as well. Until the next one, friends, stay safe and happy wanderings.